Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, the Global In-Market Series. Today, we're covering China and Hong Kong. My name is Belinda Redman, and I'm the Director of State Promotions for the Department of Trade and Investment, and I'll be your host today. Before I introduce you to the Minister, I would like to just run through some logistics. This morning will work. You will be able to ask questions throughout the seminar. You'll find the question panel at the top of your screen. If you select all panel and type your question in the box. Following the presentations by Xiao-Ya, who is in China, and Alice, who is in Hong Kong, we will ask the panel questions you have put forward. If we can't get to all the questions, we will summarise them and put them up online for you to see. Please, at this point, enjoy the seminar. I hope it's informative. There will be a poll at the end, so please fill in the poll to help us perfect our future sessions. And I would introduce you to the Minister for Trade and Investment, the Honourable David Ridgway.
Thank you, Belinda, and good morning, everybody. It's great to have you all here listening. Obviously, Xiao-Ya in Shanghai and Alice in Hong Kong. Good morning to both of you. This is unprecedented times that we're in. This is the fifth one of these webinars we've done. We've done Japan, US, Malaysia, and the UK, and so this one now is the fifth one. We're very very happy to have you on board. So look, I'm not going to speak any longer. I think we all know the circumstances are in. It's really important to hear from Xiao-Ya and Alice, and then have your questions answered rather than listening to me speak this morning. So over to probably Xiao-Ya, I guess.
Thank you, Minister, and thank you, Belinda. Thanks, everybody, to make your time today. I'm Xiao-Ya Wei, China Country Director of South Australia Government. I'm based in Shanghai, embedded with the Austrade in Shanghai office. As you can see from the slide, we have 4 offices all over Greater China, and 6 staffs. They are located in Shanghai, Guangzhou, Jinan, and Hong Kong, respectively. The role of the Greater China office is to create new connections with the investors and the partners in the areas of trade and investment. So today, I think the major time I want to share with you is about the COVID-19 situation. Let's start from the current market conditions now. As of 4th April, there are 30 new confirmed COVID-19 cases on the Chinese mainland, of which 25 were imported cases. And from the business side, the general sentiment on business involved in sales and production is really largely negative, both over the short and the medium term. You can find actually nearly 500,000 Chinese companies closed in first quarter as pandemic battered economy. And secondly, from the export industry anticipates there's an anticipation a decrease of, for example, 18% in 2020. And also due to the impact of the COVID outbreak globally, the air cargo costs also increased significantly, and also timing double. However, in China, I think everything is going to more positive way. 复工复产 in Chinese, and which means resuming work, resuming production, which has been the Chinese government's mantra in the past few weeks. This has been implemented gradually. You can find that China's manufacturing PPI was 52.0 in March, which is also an increase points from February, while the non-manufacturing business activity PMI reached 52.3% and 22.3 points compared to February last month. And also the coal consumption recovered to over 90% of the same period of last year in March. And the resumption operations rate of large and medium enterprises reached almost 96.6% in March. Also, this is an increase compared to the level at the end of February. Let's take a look of what is functioning now in our market. You can find that China consumers are spending the spending starts to return, and some trade routes are returned to pre-crisis levels. For example, the country's sea export has normalized as the number of calls in Chinese ports across 3 days reached the average over 800, which is similar to the same period of 2019. Also, China has fully resumed its ground public transportation and also the urban rail transit services. And third, you can find the resumption rate of large chain supermarkets and convenience stores reached almost 99.5% and 95.4% respectively. This is the sales volume surpassing the level recorded in the same period last year as well. In addition, almost 95.8% of shopping malls and 80% of catering industry have resumed work as March 27th, even though that people's confidence still need more time to recover. However, comparing at the beginning of the year, everything has been opened, which is hugely different. You can find more and more people in a street, in a subway, and even in some place of interest. So more than as a whole, more than 98% of China's major industry firms resume work as well. And regard for the education sector, schools are gradually open in some low-risk areas. However, the most significant impact is that the Gaokao, the Chinese National College entrance exam, has been postponed by 1 month. This has been announced recently, and this is a huge impact from the education perspective. And then let's look at the public safety and the confidence end. The country actually now is working very hard to avoid all possibility of a second wave of the outbreak. Firstly, is that the strict control of imported cases has been a major theme in recent period. And also, China has set up screening of asymptomatic COVID-19 infections since 1st of April. And China, and even I just mentioned, you can find the resume of many functionings already. And some cinemas has been opened for a period. However, China Film Administration has suspended the resumption of cinema operations across the country in late March, even some karaoke as well. You can see there's still fear and also the worries about the second wave for the outbreak in China. Even everything goes more positively now. And from the travel end, the travel restriction, including both internal and provisional travel, still has been implemented. For international travel restrictions, China has suspended the entry of most foreign nationals since March 28th. And also for provisional travel restrictions, normally many provinces and cities require 14-day mandatory home-based or centralized quarantine for inbound travelers, either from overseas or other Chinese provinces and cities. Although the policy details can differ from different regions. And then we have a color-coded health scheme to monitor for COVID-19. This has been introduced by the tech giants Tencent and Alibaba. They launched the health code, which is very useful and also serves as a proof for citizens to enter or exit public place, also as a necessary condition to resume work or study. Likewise, even when we enter our office building every day, we must show this color-coded health scheme to the safeguard. Otherwise, you are not permitted to get into the building. So normal for daily life, public consensus on health and safety instructions also implemented by the Chinese government, like the body temperature check, work suspension for social distancing, and also self-isolation and face masks. I would say that the trajectory of China remains one of the most promising right now, as per a survey from McKinsey, just 6% of consumers feel pessimistic on the back of the promise of stronger macro policies from Beijing, which including the following. First is that the over RMB 1.1 billion vouchers released to boost consumption. This including the cities from the government of Nanjing, Hangzhou, Ningbo. Currently, assume more will follow on these boost vouchers in other cities. And also there's preferential policies to cut tax load of SMEs by the Chinese government. So next, and the most important thing I want to share with you is what you need to do. First, I would say dare and care. Dare to take quick decisions through a crisis management and care about your team. Care about their health and care of their worries, and keep on communicate with them on a daily basis. And also through the physical lockdown, it is important not to panic and focus on organizing a response. In a digital age, a strong organization should always be connected. Many roles do not require face-to-face interactions. Also, it is important for you to develop your own disaster recovery and business continuity strategy, and anywhere, anytime. And fourth, I would say maintain regular contact with your business stakeholders in China is extremely important to stay connected with the market. First, I would recommend you to ensure that you are keeping your customers and partners in China up to date with regular communications. And also, you need to do everything you can to ensure that your products can still get to your customers. You should also be keeping them in the loop about your situation, no matter good or bad. And third, you need to think about altering go-to-market strategies to accommodate consumer changes, how they are researching brands and products now, what they are buying and where they are buying it. It also would be wise to make pledges to your Chinese customers, both B2B and B2C perspective, only if you can fulfill them. And finally, I think in communicating with people in China, video calling is quite common way, so you can do that very easily. I would recommend you to everybody to act fast, communicate clearly, and communicate regularly. And so how to preparing for recovery? I just want to share with you some of the experience and also lessons from the Chinese entrepreneurs. First, that always look ahead and constantly refine your efforts. This process must be fast and to avoid getting stuck in complex internal condition process and being slow to react to changing circumstances. Secondly, to shift your sales channel mix. For example, some of the Chinese bricks and mortar retail has changed their strategy into the online way, which is to engage customers virtually and drive online sales. This is a very good example. And also, you should prepare for faster recovery than you have expected. Because while the current situation impact in other countries is still impossible to forecast, however, recovery planning needs to start while you are still reacting to the crisis now. Never too late to start by now. And the fourth is that you should expect different recovery speeds for different sectors. And just for example, currently we learned that large global food and beverage enterprise use this crisis to accelerate their long-term shifts in its product mix in China, including increase its focus on health-relevant products, which is more, emergent in the market, and also like the online sales channels as well. And the fifth is that look for opportunity and amid adversity. This also includes like B2C e-commerce, B2B e-commerce, remote meeting services, social media hygiene products, health insurance, which might be in demand increased in many specific, the demand increased specific areas, just for your information. And for example, some major restaurant chain leveraged the downtime to plan a new offering of semi-finished dishes, capturing the increased need and occasion for home cooking during the crisis, where people are unwilling to go to the restaurant outside. And also rapidly innovate around new needs beyond rebalancing the product portfolio. New customers needs also create opportunities for innovation. When threatened by crisis, many companies will focus on defensive moves, but some Chinese companies also boldly innovated around emergent opportunities as well. Quite importantly, the last part is that spot new consumption habits being informed. Some shifts would persist beyond the crisis, and many sectors will re-emerge to new market realities in China and elsewhere. Indeed, during the SARS, is often credited for the accelerating the adoption of e-commerce in China. Well, it's too early to say for sure which new habits will stick in the long run, but some strong possibilities, including a leap from offline to online education, a transformation in healthcare delivery, and an increase in B2B digital channels are some of the trends that you should pay attention to. So, how DT can help? Actually, we are providing market COVID-19 updates from the government and industries on daily basis. If you look through the website of the DT, you can find this information every day, and I encourage you to do so. Secondly, we are also following up and facilitating in-market business leads that are impacted by travel restrictions through digital channels. And also, we are develop local business strategy and business supporting plan under COVID-19. Moreover, we are communication with our key partners and key stakeholders to leverage the strength and join force to support our SA business in China. And also, we are available here to support any specific issues your export is facing due to COVID-19. Well, this comes almost to an end of my presentation today. I'd like to introduce my colleague, Alice Jim, who is based in Hong Kong office, to give you an update. I'll talk to you later during the Q&A session. Thank you. Over to you, Alice.
Thank you, Xiao-Ya. Good morning, Minister and everyone from South Australia. It's my greatest pleasure to be here to reconnect and make new connections with all of you today. My name is Alice. I'm based in Hong Kong, representing South Australian government for Hong Kong, Macau, and the Southern China. Let me start by reinforcing the strategic position of Hong Kong. Hong Kong maintains a substantial trade investment partner for Australia on its own right. It's a key entrepot for mainland China. 65% of Chinese outbound investment flows through Hong Kong, and there's a strong growing interest for trade and investment in premium food and agribusiness, health and medical, smart cities, digital technologies, renewable energy, international education and tourism infrastructure. It's also Australia's 12th largest foreign direct investor. Hong Kong also plays a pivotal role in Beijing's Greater Bay Area scheme. The top South Australia's biggest merchandise exports to Hong Kong, including wine and seafood. Hong Kong is also South Australia's third destination source of international students. Next, please. The current market situation. The Hong Kong economy has entered recession due to double whammy of the US-China trade war and social unrest in 2019. The COVID-19 crisis has further hit on the economy across all sectors, more significantly in the visitor number and major interruptions of transport and logistics for the trading activities. We have seen slowdown in local and overseas investment activities. It's believed the economic situation can be worsened than that of SARS epidemic in 2003. The pandemic has brought inbound tourism to a standstill in Hong Kong. The tourism sector has the hardest hit, with a record decline in retail sales of 44% just in February this year, with consumer spending halved. A 9-year high employment rate at 3.7%. However, the financial system is working well in order, and we're anticipating growth by an average of 2.8% from 21 to 24. The Hong Kong government, in order to support business and also to safeguard jobs, it has established an anti-epidemic fund of equivalent of 6 billion Australian dollars, similar packages to enterprises and SME, and also issuing equivalent of 2,000 cash payout to Hong Kong permanent residents. Next, please. We had the first imported coronavirus case on the 21st of Jan, with emergency response level activated on the 25th of Jan. Currently, Hong Kong is battling a second wave of COVID-19, and we are anticipating a potential wider lockdown in the city amid warnings of the third wave of outbreak upcoming. So far, Hong Kong has avoided a complete lockdown. However, the authorities have enforced and ordered temporary closures of bars and restaurants that has a exclusive liquor license, leisure facilities. We have enforced public gatherings rules in restaurant and in the public, limitation to 4 people. All schools have been closed so far since the early February. Otherwise, all other sectors resume normal operations, however, with varied degrees of capacity. This pandemic has caused the biggest work-from-home experiment in history in Hong Kong and across the globe. Next, please. Hong Kong has issued outbound global travel red alert advising non-essential travels overseas. In terms of inbound travel, all foreign travelers are being denied entry. All transits at Hong Kong International Airport suspended, and all inbound travelers requiring viral test and 14 days compulsory quarantine. In terms of cross borders to the mainland, all of the land boundary control points have been closed, except Shenzhen Bay and also Hong Kong, Zhuhai, Macau Bridge remains open. However, all the cargo logistic remains 24 hours operation to ensure good flows of supplies of goods and also the essential items. We have temporary suspensions of transport to Macau and also high-speed rail train services to the mainland. The Hong Kong flights are still flying to Beijing, Shanghai, Chengdu, and Xiamen. Qantas passenger flights has been suspended from Hong Kong. However, he has 1 cargo flight per week to Australia. Cathay is flying passengers twice a week to Sydney and is also ramping up of its cargo capacity. The ports and shippings are still operating with some slight delays. Next, please. The air traffic in Hong Kong has dropped 90%. More people are staying at home and switch to home dining mode. The huge surge in food and necessities item shopping via retail, online, and e-commerce platforms. Next, please. So, which sectors are functioning? Retail, supermarkets, wet markets, pharmacy, restaurant, cafes, banks, food deliveries, bottle shops, online and e-commerce shopping platforms, government services with limited time restrictions, financial sectors, all utilities, public transportation, healthcare, professional services, wholesale, distribution, freight logistics, even though heavily reduced capacity, are operating, as well as telecommunications. The foreign sectors are not functioning or temporarily closed. Theme parks, all schools and international and local exams have been cancelled or postponed. Most conferences, trade shows, and larger scale promotional events, bars, and liquor section of all food premises have been closed temporarily. Next, please. How the public is responding in our market? There's a broad public dissatisfaction with the governments being enabled to implement timely epidemic measures, in particular to procurement and scarcity of surgical masks. There's home quarantines, people breaching the orders, which is a criminal offense. What is the Hong Kong government responding to this crisis? The Hong Kong government has just warned a possible third wave of transmissions and may impose a wider lockdown. In the government's 20 and 21 budget, with equivalent to 25 billion Australian dollars in counter-clinical measures, that includes an anti-epidemic fund of equivalent Australian $6 billion, that includes providing subsidies to a large diversified industry sectors that has been impacted significantly. That includes retail agencies, travel agencies, food premises, conventions and exhibitions, transport trade, innovation technology sector, arts and cultural. We also have similar packages to enterprises. For example, the government has provided 100% guarantee to SMEs for low interest loan, reduction of profit tax for SMEs and enterprises, waiving of business registration and rates, etc. Also, Hong Kong government is giving out equivalent of Australian $2,000 cash payout to local residents, and also implemented a local mass production subsidy scheme. Next, please. And what other sectors are actually supporting the public in this crisis? The banking industry is providing extra support to the SMEs and in trading, and in particular to trading and transport sectors in delaying repayments or extending loan tenors. Also, the Construction Industry Council is also providing subsidies to the construction sector and also employees. We've seen donation of masks from the NGOs, from the charities. We've seen, so far we have approved 6 local mask productions for commercial, also as a charity for the cities needy. Lastly, most importantly, and what opportunity does it mean to all of you in South Australia? The business in food services sector has dropped significantly to almost 90%. It is the time to reinvest or invest in retail, e-commerce, and also direct channels to the end customers. The opportunity provides retail packaged food and beverages and wine products. In terms of food, healthy functional foods with longer shelf life and durability, healthy canned foods, essential basic food items. It's interesting to note the wine lovers has moved more to daily drinking wines, with price range from entry to mid-level wines, which is equivalent to the recommended retail price in Australia, up to 30 Australian dollars. More people are drinking and dining at home. It has also opened up new opportunities in e-commerce and online solutions. As schools are closed, students are studying online, so mobile learning or edutech opportunities, live streaming solutions for product promotions, remote conferences technology system, and also in, workplace technology. As more people is also more concerned in healthcare, so health supplements, healthcare service, digital health, and home care for people staying at home is emerging. Next, please.
Alice, can I just interrupt and tell our audience we will be staying on for about another 10 minutes for questions. So, and also if you don't stay for the whole webinar, we will be uploading it onto the DTI website. Thanks, Alice, if you could continue.
Okay, thank you. What you need to do, please maintain sufficient liquidity and protect your employees, and monitor leading indicators of how and where the pandemic is evolving in your own country, domestically and in your overseas market of interest. It's important to establish preparedness strategies, including business continuity plans, workplace technology advancement. It's actually a time for survival and staying competitive in the market, and it's not really a time for profit making. Leverage the financial relief programs offered by federal and state governments, and please investigate cross-industry partnership with complementary product offerings and bundlings. And also, it's important to maintain your ongoing communications with your in-market partners and stakeholders. to exchange latest supply chain capabilities, market insights, industry customer trends, and together devise new win-win promotional campaigns, new product offering, pricing, and distribution strategies, and be highly responsive and ensure your products get to your customers on time. Do organize interim digital communications with your customers like we are doing right now in webinar. And please keep abreast of the latest in-flight and logistic timetable. And lastly, please reach out to us at the Department of Trade Investment and also our overseas in-market reps like myself. We'll be able to provide market intelligence, business opportunities to help you along your export journey, advise you on upcoming promotion and business missions, and also to make connections for you in the market. Lastly, preparing for recovery. Again, please monitor schedule of your key conferences and event trade show overseas and plan for participation. And we are not expecting a economy recovery any soon, but in Hong Kong, we are hoping for early signs of market recovery in 2020 second half. Thank you. This is all the context for Greater China for myself in Hong Kong and Xiao-Ya in Shanghai, and also our Adelaide-based team. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Xiao-Ya. We do have a few questions, so I'll just run through them. The first question is for Xiao-Ya from John Elfnick from SADA Fresh. I have been in contact with our supply chain in China. They're still reporting that it's impossible to get product in. When do you anticipate that the doors for imports will be open again?
I think that depends on some specific regulation for some specific products range. While my understanding is that most of the import has become normal, we need to have more details regarding your products and also if there's any new regulations. So please revert to us with more details. You can find our email address, and we will also then contact with relevant authorities and also our Austrade colleagues together to find the real issues and revert back to you shortly. Thank you.
Thank you. And another question. What opportunities do you see for South Australian businesses in China? Are there any new trends or opportunities arising?
Yeah, actually, there are several, I would say several new emergent opportunities. For example, for food, the fresh groceries and meats, even logistics and also the flights, etc. reduction. But in the long run, they still be quite good opportunity for our exporters, especially like the healthy food, which will improve the people's immunity capacities and also with more protein to increase the the health of the human being. All these products in the long run will still have quite emergent opportunities. But currently, you can find the impact, especially for the fresh produce, due to the logistic issues. While for meat and even for wine, I think these are more resilient, and in the long term, this will still be the potential for our SA exporters. From this regard, I would say healthcare and health technology, like smart hospitals and online consultations, which will also like digital medical assistants, apps and mini apps, self-diagnostic medical devices. All these are very good opportunity. And from the entertainment side, I knew that SA companies also have quite competitive strength in this end, like gaming industry, new ways of disseminating content and promoting small businesses, online cooking classes, and also even virtual visits to landmarks, etc. are quite high potential. So overall, I think the healthy food, healthcare, health technology specifically and the gaming industry, etc. Also, these are more relevant for our SA business.
Thank you. Question for Minister Ridgway, if you're still with us. Has the crisis impacted on South Australia's relationship with China?
Look, I don't think so. I mean, clearly the exports have, we're not exporting to China, but I think that we have a long-standing relationship with China from an important trading partner both ways. This has been an unfortunate set of circumstances, but, I think that long-term we'll be back to a strong relationship again with China, but it's unfortunate. Our market's dried up. It impacted on a range of industries. I mean, our trade or export figures for February are out today, and they're down significantly, and I suspect that's because of a whole range of products that couldn't go to China during February. But, it's good to see that China has started to open up again in some markets. So it's I'd say short-term harm, but long-term I'm sure we'll have a strong relationship again.
Thank you. And a question for Alice. In Hong Kong, what are the major e-commerce platforms in Hong Kong for food and beverages?
For food and beverages, we have a very popular e-commerce platform. It's called Hong Kong TV Mall, which has just emerged in the recent years. And also a lot of the major supermarkets and retailers for premium produce, such as City Super, Parking Shop, Welcome and Dairy Farm Group, Great Food Hall, they all have their own online platforms. So it's important for our food and beverages exporter to investigate these distribution channels. And a lot of the importers have also established or set up their own online e-commerce or online platforms for purchases. So please be aware of that. Thank you.
Thank you. And as I said, we'll list these questions and answers on the website with the webinar. One last question for Xiao-Ya. Have companies in the Wuhan district begun exporting again? If not, will they be looking at opening up exporting again soon?
Actually, for Wuhan, the restriction has been released in late March for the whole Hubei province, and Wuhan, the whole city will be released from 8th April tomorrow. So we can see that the restriction relief for the whole region, and so does for the related export restrictions, etc. As for the specific details about when, I will revert back to you with the exactly information. But just put in your mind the whole restriction for the Wuhan and Hubei province has been opened right now or tomorrow for the city of Wuhan itself.
Thank you. And one last question we have for Minister Ridgway from Michelle Brown. Is South Australia seen as a safe destination for international study?
Well, it is, and we're trying to do some work with the Study Adelaide and all the universities to make sure we look after the international students that are here. They're a very important part of our community. They add a lot to our economy, well over $2 billion, and they add a lot of vibrancy to the community. So we do value them. We've seen that it is seen as a safe destination. We've actually had no examples of any sort of adverse reaction towards any international students during this period. But it is important that we look after them because they're an important part of our economy, and look after them. They have a great experience here. They go back to their home countries and brag about how wonderful South Australia is. So they're very important mini ambassadors for us as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Minister. Thank you, Xiao-Ya. Thank you, Alice. If you could stay on and finish the poll for us, viewers, that would really help us make these webinars better. But today, thank you very much for your time. This will all be put up on the Department of Trade and Investment website, and all the questions answered in detail. Thank you. Good night.